Morning everybody, how are you all doing? Hope you're doing really well. So I didn't really have a clue what this morning walk video was going to be about. So I thought, I was looking at a few stories on X last night and I came across two in particular that drew my attention that I'm going to talk about. So we're going to be talking about the police again. Now normally I'd use a caveat in this when I'm talking about the police. I would say, yeah, there's a few bad apples in the barrel. Majority of police officers are on average pretty good. But I can no longer use that caveat. I can't, because it's quite obvious that the majority of police officers are quite frankly shit. They are. It's just that. It's just factual, isn't it, that now? And that's not coming from me, by the way. That's coming from police officers themselves. I have friends who were police officers who've just recently taken retirement. They've left the force. And when I say recently, I mean within the last month. And they themselves have come forward to me and said, yeah, they watch my videos. They've said, yeah, you're spot on. The people we're working with, the new crop of police officers coming up, are absolutely garbage. Garbage. And we know this because when your training is absolutely shit, when the training you give people to do a job is absolutely shit, then the only thing you're going to produce is shit police officers. That's just factual. That's just objective truth. Isn't it? If your training is shit, if the training you are given is shit, you will not be very good at your job. That's just one of those things. Anyway, so the story in particular was of a young lad. I think it was a group of children at a protest. Not sure which one it was. I'm sure people will tell me. I can't include the video. I'll try and put a picture in here to show you where it was or whatever. But again, 4 police officers surround a family because a young lad was raising the flag. St George's Cross, Union flag, whatever, don't know which flag it was. Surrounding him, saying, and they started to take his details. They wouldn't let him leave until this young lad had given them his details. Now his mum was with him. I don't know what to say. I don't know what they were thinking. Now we know from what people have been saying, ex-police officers that have come out and blown the whistle, they've said that wokeness is rewarded. If you are on board with the message, we know what the message is. It's the far left Marxist identity politics bullshit. Wokeness. If you're on board with that, you're going to go far in the police. You will be promoted. So you've got to ask yourself a question. Are police officers doing this type of shit to carry favour just so they can get promoted? Just a virtue signal to their commanding officers. Look at me, look at me. Look, I'm suppressing the native Brits. Promote me, promote me. You know that that's going to be happening. Because when you reward this type of shit, they're going to do it all the more, aren't they? And then we look at instances with Posey Parker. You probably know her from the Lotus Eaters. She goes on there sometimes and talks about women's rights and the fact that she doesn't want men in women's spaces and stuff like that. Well, it's come to light that in a police training session, the police officers were encouraged to boo her name. Boo her name. Now, look back at my live stream from a few days ago when I was talking about the police oath. In letters at the bottom, it clearly states police officers must be politically neutral. Now, if you're calling for police officers in your training sessions within the police to boo political activists' names, that's not being politically neutral, is it? And this is what we've all suspected for a very, very long time. We know this, we know it, and I'm probably preaching to the choir by saying this. The police are heavily politicised. They are political. We know this. From what I've heard from my friends who are now ex-police officers, just left the force, they're saying that most of this crap is coming from higher up, and we know this. And so I asked them a question. I said, well, what did you do? What did you do to push back against this sort of nonsense that's happening with the police force? And they said, there's nothing you can do. These people are untouchable, they said. And if you raise concerns, then you're basically putting a target on your back for either dismissal or harassment within the police force. And I'm guessing this is why there's such low morale within the police. Just police officers trying to do their job, but can't because of woke chief constables, inspectors, sergeants, that stop them from doing their job because they've been ideologically captured. So you can understand why morale is very low. You've got some police officers just want to do their job. They want to police the public without fear or favour. They simply can't. Now, from what I've been told, a lot of these new crop of police officers don't make it through their probationary period. They don't make it through. They either quit or they're dismissed because they're absolutely shit at the job. And we've seen quite a few instances of this, but they did say this: the shit ones that are woke are kept on. The ones that aren't woke, that are not up to standard, are booted out, which is what should happen. But surely they should all be booted out. If you can't physically or mentally do the job, or you're not politically neutral, you should be kicked out of the force. That's what should happen. But no, apparently the police officers, the higher ups, the police chiefs, they sign off on these people because they want more of these people within the police force, because they want a politicised police force. If you can still call it that. If you can still call it a police force. Because you've got to ask yourself, when does it stop becoming a police force? When it's politicised. Because you could kind of say that once an organisation that's main priority is to police the public becomes political, is it now a paramilitary? I know a lot of people laugh at that. I get the lefties coming to the comment sections laughing, oh, it's a paramilitary. It's like this is from the people that you know, come with ACAB, all cops are bastards, by the way. It's amazing how these people go running to the police when they feel threatened, or they feel like our safe spaces are in jeopardy. They go running to the police, and yet the majority of the time they're chanting, all cops are bastards. I always found that absolutely amazing when they were doing that type of stuff. So yeah, we know from factual evidence, we can see with our eyes when we look at these people doing their job. We know they've had some pretty poor training. Their training is not up to scratch. As a result, you're getting a really poor crop of police officers out on the streets, and like I said, it's all down to poor training. And as a result, now they can't recruit. They can't recruit enough police officers to keep up with the levels of police officers that are leaving the force. Thousands are leaving each month, and they're not being replaced. Because what used to happen, because it used to be an honoured profession, being a police officer, you'd have generations of the same family following in their father's footsteps or their mother's footsteps through the police force. Now, those people are leaving the police force and telling their family members, don't do it. They're actively discouraging them from going into the police and saying, don't do it. It's not worth it. That's what's happening. That's why recruitment is so low. It's because of the way the police are treated. It's because of the training. And it's because of the close scrutiny that all police officers are under. They're basically being, it's like It's like 1984 within the police. They're constantly being watched by Big Brother. That's what's happening. You can see it in their faces on the street. You can see it's low morale. I've seen it before. I really have. I know what low morale can do to an organisation. Anyway, we'll move on from that. So this came to light that a memo's been going around, and apparently the military is being briefed not to display or show the Union flag, the St. George's Cross. The military, our military. You know, the ones that are supposed to be patriotic. They're being told by woke commanding officers, because it is in the army as well. The army is just as bad as the police force for wokeness. They're being told that raising the St. George's flag, St. George's Cross, the Union flag, is being classed as, it's been hijacked by far-right movements. So all those people out on the streets, you know, all those concerned parents, all those people that are pushing back against the government because it's being tyrannical in its methods, you know, suppressing free speech, putting people in prison for political opinion, that sort of thing. The army's being told that the people who are standing against that sort of thing are radicals, they're extremists. There's literally no hope. There's no hope. When the cancer is this deep within our institutions, it's in the military, it's in the police, it's in our judiciary, it's everywhere. This far left woke cancer. And there's not that many people pushing it. What's happened over the course of decades is it's been like a game of chess. This has been planned for many, many years, decades. They've slowly been moving their people into positions of power, slowly but surely. And once they're in positions of power, they start to change things. And the first thing they do is make it difficult for anybody that doesn't share their ideology to get into positions of power. This is why you see in the police force that it's only the woke police officers that are getting promoted. Anybody that shows, you know, an ounce of just being a normal police officer and wanting to police out for your favour, not promoted. You can stay in the police force, but you'll never be promoted. And I'm guessing that their life is made a living hell because they don't follow the ideology and they feel slowly and slowly more isolated in their job, and so they leave. That's what's happening in this country. And so, yeah, back to the stories. It's like the young lad. This is what they do. This is what the police are doing, and it's the tactics of cowards. So what they'll do to try and get a group of people, a protest, angry or violent, is they will target the most vulnerable within your protest. So that will be the elderly, women, children. They'll target them because they know from experience that they probably won't be able to provoke the men because they'll stand the ground, they'll be stoic, they won't be easily provoked. What they can do is they know that men are very protective of the elderly, children, women, so they'll target them to try and provoke the men into violence. And then they've got an excuse to issue their dispersal orders. Then they've got an excuse to use their parva spray. Then they've got an excuse to start arresting people violently. That's what they're doing it for. It's the tactics of cowards. And to any police officer that's deploying these tactics, you need to give yourself a good hard look and your head a wobble. Because the fact of the matter is, if you're doing this, if you're actively doing this, you're a coward. You're an absolute 100% coward. I don't respect you. You know, at one time, I had a lot of respect for the police when I was growing up. In the 80s, the 90s, local police officer, lovely guy. Lovely guy. Couldn't fault him. If you needed help, if you needed anything, he was there for you. And sadly, over the course of a few decades, that's changed. They're no longer a police force. They're like a hired arm of the government. Thugs, hired thugs. That's what I call them now. They're just hired thugs. They dishonour the uniform. They dishonour the uniform, they dishonour the flag, and I have no respect for them. I really don't. And I get why loads of people say that if police officers were in trouble, they wouldn't go to help them now. I mean, there's even been cases where people have gone to help the police. They've actually pulled off an attacker because police were under attack. And then they themselves have been arrested afterwards for assault because they attacked the person who was attacking the police. That's the way things have gone now. That's the situation in this country. Anyway, I've gone on long enough. This is Vindicator, signing off.